I know I still have the lens cap on, but it's because I'm trying to debate, is it totally inappropriate to me film a video with my dumpsters in the background? It's where I am while I'm doing the plant things. It's the way it's gonna be. Look, there's a nice background. Palm trees and hydrangeas. Last you'll be seeing of those. Hey, what's up, garden friends? Jeff here. How's everybody doing? You're doing well. I'm great. Getting ready to repot some palm trees, and I don't know why. I have just taken it upon myself to film whenever I repot a palm tree this year. These are my bamboo palms, and I think they're just worth talking about because they make excellent houseplants. Grown them for years. I picked these up on clearance. They were a very good price from Lowe's. I think they were like, I don't know, half that. Maybe they were 12 a piece. I think some of them were 7 and some were 15. It was a weird situation. But I rave about them sometimes, so I thought, well, we should do a video. When I say bamboo palm, I'm talking about the Chimaduria Sophritiis or microspatics. Those aren't the same plant, but when you buy them, you never really know for sure which one you're getting. Odds are it's a Sophritiis though. So this is what they look like. Remember, clearance. So need some cleaning up. These have probably put on a good foot of growth since I picked these up just, what, 2 months ago? That's something I really like about the bamboo palms is they tend to be relatively fast growers. They're adaptable, and that's what makes them a good house plant. These are a plant where you can let them go more on the dry side. They'll be all right. And you can even overwater them a smidge and they'll probably be fine. Main thing is just like with a lot of house plants, they shouldn't be sitting in water. That'll kill them. They don't want to do that. And they have a broad lighting preference too. Now, they're usually sold as a medium to low light plant, or at least they used to be back in the day. Maybe everybody's gotten better about that. It says bright. Okay, I'll go with that. I don't think that's the most useful description of light for a plant to just say bright. I would say a good minimum, probably 6 hours a day of indirect light. They'll be good. They can take direct morning sun depending on where you live. If you live in a really arid climate, then that might be more difficult. They will get a lot of brown tips on them, like way more brown than that. And potentially some photooxidation. This is leftover damage from these getting a lot of sun in the springtime. The bigger they get, usually the more sun they can take, which is, I mean, it's just true of a lot of plants. But they're typically never going to be a full sun plant unless maybe you live like right alongside the coast, maybe San Diego, perhaps somewhere with that nice cool air from the water, maybe, but most places I would say afternoon shade is best. But they can take lower lighting conditions. You just have to care for them differently if they're not getting a lot of light. Mainly just that you need to be more cautious about watering them, right? Because they're not pulling up that water as actively as they would be if they were getting a lot of light. So you want to probably let, I'd say, the top probably 3 to 4 inches of soil dry out before you water them again. So what would you say, about 25% dryness maybe in the container? In the wintertime, these, honestly, they can go bone dry for a short period of time. They'll be fine. As long as they're not really, really under potted, it's going to be okay. There have been many, many, many occasions where I let mine get way too dry. In fact, this one right here is way too dry. I didn't realize when I lifted it out of the cash pot that this was sitting in that I had also pulled its pot off, so that it's just been sitting in the sun without a pot. That's just not the best way to take care of a plant. Typically not their preference, but it happened and it survived because they're tough. It takes a lot to kill these. I shouldn't say that. People always get upset with me when I say stuff like that. They're more versatile than a lot of plants that are sold as houseplant palms for indoor growth. Majesty palms. I can't stand the Majesty palms. This is a much better option. Buy these instead. They have a medium to, I would say, even fast growth rate. Some may disagree, but these things grow so freaking fast if you have them in an appropriate size container. If they're not growing quickly, then it probably means they need to be repotted or they're not getting enough light, water, any of those things or any combination of those things. I'd say about every single bamboo palm I've had, I was only able to keep for maybe 5 years max until they just outgrew the house because they grow quickly. But with the microspatics, they tend to stay just a little bit smaller. It's also something people debate. I think those usually go about 10 feet, whereas these will push 15, 20, like they get really big. Now that was also because I was repotting them frequently, like every single year. I would give them a new pot. Probably didn't need to do that. Could go ahead and just pop them into whatever size container you want to keep them in for maybe 2 years instead of 1 year, and that will stunt the growth some. Cats really enjoy munching on the ends of these leaflets here. So that's something to be aware of. Not toxic though. I mean, it might still upset an animal's stomach, might puke it up if they eat too much of it, but you don't really have to worry about it safety-wise. And they put out inflorescence. They flower fairly heavily. Are there any left on here? Or are they all done for the year? Sometimes there's just little pieces left. Yeah, there's some that's left right there. See it? Isn't that neat looking? I'm gonna get in as close as I can. Work on through there. Get my hand in the background. So that's what it looks like after it's done. These are seeds. Those little green balls, those are the seeds. And they have just lots of flowers that cover those up. They propagate pretty easily too, or I should say they germinate fairly easily. You can divide them up. I'm not going to. That's one of the reasons I wanted to start this video, or even do this video right now, was because I get asked about that. Anytime I've talked about the bamboo palms, you can see where this one had a bad trunk on it that got cut. They do cluster. They put up lots of babies, so you can even get a better look at that from down here. So there's one trunk and there's a little baby coming off of it. So I would never try and remove one plant from another plant, but you can come in and just divide them at the root. So like this piece right here, you could separate that out. You can see, you just kind of play around with them and see whichever spots are feeling the most loose and easy to move around, and then you can pull them right out. I don't want to though. I would like for that to, you can just stay right there. Use a clean sharp knife, make your cuts, just don't cut them in the green, right? Because then you'll just kill it. You want to hold on to the roots. And then general plant stuff, right? Well drained, organically rich mix. As far as feeding goes, I do usually use a palm fertilizer on them, but they have always seemed fine when I just stuck with a plain old regular all-purpose. Like I said, they're tough. They don't really care. And I do think that is partially though because I make sure to use a potting mix that has some organics in it, or I add organics to my potting mixes. I will top dress with compost every single spring and work that in, add plant tones, something like that. Helps keep it nice and rich for them. But the drainage part is important. So they can stay wet for a while, but again, I mentioned it, they should never be sitting in water. That's why that drainage is really important. One of the things I enjoy the most about these is that they're, it's aggressive, they're pretty dang cold tolerant. So I usually will leave mine out into the upper 20s. That all depends. If there's going to be freezing rain, snow forecasted, different story. But light frost, I don't usually worry about them in the fall. In the spring, I'm more cautious. The reason you can get away with that more in the fall is because you still have the earth giving off some heat at nighttime. So even though the forecast says, 28, 29, you got a little buffer around there. But in the spring, at least here, you don't really have that. So I'm more careful about that in the spring. I don't like to have them outside until things aren't going to be all that frosty. They can take some light frost, and it's fine. But you can see damage. So some of the damage that you're seeing on here actually is from frost in the springtime. So we had a hard freeze, I think it was 28, and that's what some of the damage is on the inside. But it didn't kill them, right? And I should just say, if you want to just keep them looking their best, go ahead and move them inside when it's, I'd say around 40 degrees, just to be safe. But if you're like me and you like to have some things that you can move outside a little bit earlier than some of the other typical houseplant palms, like, Majesty palms, you can move these outside sooner and leave them out just a little bit longer too. Because those Majesty palms, so with those, they just don't do well below like 50. They're just such babies. I didn't bring my box cutters. I'm just gonna have to rip through this with my hand. In my head, that's too much soil, but I have a feeling it's actually not going to be enough because this has a pretty shallow root system on it. Oh no, that's perfect. That got about 1.5 inches on the outside diameter of the root ball. Typical repotting stuff. And I did want to make sure that it's down in there some because I want to be able to water this heavily. Water it heavily, have a lot of water pressure, be able to give it big drinks without having to pull the hose away so that the water can drain out and not overwet the sides. You know what I mean? If that makes sense? I hope that made sense. I need to get some snippers. Come in here and clean this plant up. I'm not loosening up the root mass. It does not need it at all. Not one bit. The roots aren't overlapping. There's no swirl on the bottom of it. So this one is perfectly happy to just be left alone and just have fresh soil put in around it. Sometimes I'll add a slow release when I repot a plant. That's not how I'm going to do this. It'll take forever. I'm not doing that With these, well, one, because I don't have any, and you can always come in and top dress them with that slow release if you want to. I might add some starter fertilizer into the container, but what I've just been doing the last couple of years when I repot a plant is I just water them in just a regular watering, and then I hit them with a root stimulator. Just go full on with the rooting hormones and cut out the crap with the organics. That's gonna piss a lot of people off. I like the organics. They're great. But I just feel like let's just skip ahead. Use the hormone, get things moving and grooving more quickly, and get the show on the road kind of thing. Because the, you know, like the Biotone starter fertilizer, it's just lots of good stuff that I shouldn't be saying as if this is a bad thing. It's not. It's a very good thing, and I have some. But it's to help you build a healthy soil that your plant's roots will thrive in. That's a good thing. But it takes time. It needs time to break down before it's going to be effective for the plant. You know what I mean? So I'm just doing the synthetic rooting hormone, and that has been working well. You can see there's nice dark color in here. Good amount of perlite, so it's going to drain well. And this is just Proven Winners potting mix, which, I mean, I don't know them. They don't know me. But I've been using it this year and liking it. Plants have been responding well to it. Just any organically rich potting mix should be fine. Or any not organically rich potting mix that you add some compost to, that would be fine also. Something else I love about the bamboo palms is they tend to respond very well to being repotted. Some palms you really need to be careful about messing with their roots. These guys, they don't really care. I mean, obviously, if you go insane hacking at the roots, that could be a problem. But for the most part, you can get in there, loosen the soil up. You break a few roots, the plant will be okay. Just as long as you keep it consistently moist while it's establishing itself into the new container, it'll be fine. And that's something you should do when you're repotting a plant anyways, right? Okay, these are looking good. These should be good in these containers for a couple of years, but chances are I'll repot them again next year, because when you repot them, they sit still for a few weeks and then just boom, you get a huge flush of new growth. And I enjoy that. I enjoy those big rushes of new growth. These also, see this container over here? Bamboo palms, because of their nice upright habit, they look very nice in taller containers with stone around the bases of them. I think that looks so pretty. Sometimes people even put a spotlight on them, even if it's in the house. It looks so good. They have, I think, a more of what's the right word? How do we say in architectural? They look good inside. And because of that upright growth, you can stick them into corners. They're not in people's faces. They aren't drooping so much. However, I should talk about that. You know, everybody used to say, especially us plant tubers, rotate your plants like a quarter turn every few weeks. That is very backlit, I'm sorry. Nobody really says that anymore. This is a plant where I would rotate it. I'm not every couple of weeks, but maybe once a month I'd give it a turn, because the trunks on them will bend out and reach for the light. So if they're not getting really, really bright light from above, not necessarily direct light, but really even bright light from all directions, then the trunks on them, did I call them canes before? It's not bamboo, those aren't canes, these are trunks. Well, they'll get pretty weird and wonky. So if you want nice straight growth, then you need even lighting, or make sure you rotate them every now and then. Okay, browning and pests. These are things I get asked about a lot. So usually brown tips, that's just a humidity thing. Usually you can do whatever you gotta do to raise humidity, put other plants around them that like a lot of water, like spathiphyllums and self-watering containers. Maybe you have a little fountain you could set next to them, or even better, a humidifier. That's the best option. Keep them in a bathroom, keep them away from drafts, make sure there's not air blowing on them, because that will dry them out too and lead to brown tips on the ends of the leaves. But I mean, here's the deal. We're outside and it's pretty humid here, and there's even brown on, that's not on that one. Look at that. There's even brown on some of these, and we're outside. It just happens. It's generally not that noticeable. If it's bugging you, I'm gonna say this because people ask me about it, can you cut them off? I mean, you can. The problem is if you cut off the brown tips and you're going to leave a spot that needs to heal on the plant, and that can be a problem. And it will end up just being a spot with a whitish yellow line on it after you've cut it. So that's an aesthetic thing, that's up to you. Yellowing, especially yellowing down below that moves its way up, might mean the plant's getting too much water. If you just have overall yellowing on the plant, that could be a nitrogen deficiency, also could be overwatering, or both. If you are just having issues with the browning and the spotting being notorious, then that could actually be a tap water issue. Sometimes if you have a lot of metals or chloramine, fluoride, those things in your water, that can lead to browning tips in pretty much all plants if you have a lot of it in the water. Spider mites. Spider mites love these things. That's, I would say, the biggest drawback to them. It's that nice thin nature that they have to the leaflets. Yeah, they get eaten. So that's something to pay attention to. Something to pay attention to. Preventative spraying, good option. Hit them with some neem or whatever you prefer to use, but generally if you just hit them tops and bottom with neem once a month when you're not seeing spider mites, and that will help keep them off of the plant. And then once you're seeing them, I would suggest taking it to a shower, something like that, and using a high pressure to just blast them off and then spray the plant down. Be prepared to repeat that quite a few times. You know, we used to say that good air circulation and high humidity would keep spider mites at bay, but I don't know, have y'all noticed that's not true anymore? Doesn't seem to be true at all. Never had spider mites my whole life until like 4 years ago. Now they do not care if it's humid, they don't care if there's wind blowing on them. They will go where they want to go. They've learned our tricks and they've evolved. Remember, these are just little guys. They're just little babies. Once they get, I'd say, another foot higher, you can start to actually see the trunks and all the rings that will be on the trunks, and they just look so freaking cool. They look so neat. That's why they got the name bamboo palm, because the old leaf bases come off, and then they leave a ring there that just determined to not be able to show you. See? Little ring. Those will go all the way up, and they just look nice. They add a nice touch to the house, I think. A calming presence, maybe. Something nice and graceful about them. Okay, hey, that's gonna do it. Sorry if the background's not more beautiful, but this is where I was. This is where I was doing the repotting, so I figured, hey, we'll just go with it. You got some glimpses of some sunlight right in the camera to make sure everything's backlit and hard to see. You can see some hydrangeas back there. Hopefully, aesthetically, it wasn't all that bad. Hey, comment down below, tips, tricks, suggestions, always appreciated. It's really hard to remember everything to talk about in these videos, especially if I do them on the fly and don't make an outline, like with this one. Some of your favorite types of the Camedurias, other bamboo palm types that maybe you've tried, let us know. If everybody's doing well, having a great day, a great life, and everything just going absolutely beautifully for you. And of course, as always, and most importantly, everybody, keep on growing. Bye-bye.